Hello, babes. Systems Live feed is open. Welcome back. I very much apologize for the delay. Bear with me because, as you can hear, probably my voice is not exactly up to par today. I'm a little sick. And I asked you guys to bear with me because I am chronically sick. I'm working with my doctors to figure out what's going on with me. So I have better days and I have some really, really shitty days. And lately I've been having more shitty days than I have been better days. And I ask you guys to bear with me because I really don't know what's going on. And because we're leaning towards it being something autoimmune. It is probably something I'm going to have to deal with for long term. And I enjoy doing this, and I love being able to talk to you guys about any new things that I get to watch, any things that come out. And I enjoy doing this. I don't want this to be something I don't enjoy. So when there are times when I have a bit more of a struggle, I don't want this to become something I don't like because it feels like work, because it's not work to me. This is something I enjoy. So I ask you guys to bear with me because there will be better days and there will be shitty days. And I'm dealing with some really shitty days right now, and I'm very sorry about that. So I just ask everyone to please be easy with me. I'm not doing it because I don't want to. I'm genuinely, I have better days and I have horrible ones, and I'm working on trying to make the horrible ones better in their own right, so until I can figure that out, like today, sometimes I'm gonna sound horrible or just like a lot different than what I normally do, and I'm very sorry about that. Bear with me. I'm going to do my best to make sure I at least get one video up a week, even on the times when I am struggling. I'm just going to try to get stuff done a little early. That way I don't skip any times for you guys, because I do have stuff pre-recorded. It's more me being able to actually sit and edit everything. So bear with me. I will do my best because this is something I enjoy doing, and I don't want to not do it just because I'm not feeling great, I do see you guys, and I appreciate all the views, and I love that you guys like certain stuff. This is not me telling you yes, subscribe and it would help out a lot, but this is just me saying I see that you guys do subscribe and you do and it does help me see what you like more than others, and it encourages me to keep doing it. So I appreciate anyone who's still here and watching, and even cares to listen to what I'm saying in this moment. So I appreciate anyone who's still coming to watch. I thank God for you guys, because you're the reason why I continue to post like I do. So I see you. I see that there is a like towards some of the stuff that I do, and I'm going to continue to do it. Okay. So don't think that if I have a week off, it's probably just because I had a really bad week and I had a very struggle bus week. So I will be trying my best. So if you guys bear with me, I promise we'll get it out there. I promise you. I'm not going to leave anyone hanging this. I'm determined to keep this up. I promise. There's plenty to watch. So I'm going to keep watching. And if you guys are willing to keep listening, we got each other. We're here. This is going to be one happy family. I'm here for you guys. And as long as you guys are here for me and you work with me, we got each other's back. That's what my thought process is at the end of the day. You guys got me, I got you. Okay. So we're going to do another review today. And this one was a Chinese one. Oops, sorry. This is a Chinese one. I think it was mainland China, if I'm not mistaken. But we are doing To My Shore today. So this one is a dark psychological BL drama that premiered in late 2025. Unlike the light slice of life romances that we've been talking about, it dives into obsession, control, redemption, and emotional trauma through the volatile relationship between two very different men. Now, with this one, I'm going to give a disclaimer, and please, please, please listen to the disclaimer, because this show is not going to be for everyone, and it will happen on occasion that some of the stuff I talk about will not be for everyone, and that's okay. There are some people who will be triggered by some of the shows that I watch, and that's fine. I will watch it so you don't have to. And if there are anything triggering in the show, I will let you know. That way you do not have to be exposed to something that may cause you any sort of trauma, any sort of discomfort. Like, don't watch it if you are nervous to watch it, if you're nervous to start it, if you don't entirely know what the premise of it is. I will let you know. I'm perfectly happy watching something like this to let others know if it is something that they might or might not be willing to watch. Perfectly fine with that. So as a disclaimer, this show contains a lot of coercion, consent issues, violence, mentions of suicide, and blackmail. If any of these are something you cannot watch or take issue with, please do not watch this one. It may be triggering for some viewers. Please take care of yourselves and look forward to one of the less intense reviews and shows that I talk about later, okay? And there's plenty of other ones to watch too, so please do not feel like you hearing this disclaimer is gonna be like, yeah, don't, like, if you feel like you might be okay watching it, I'm just giving you a heads up now. The show may not be for everyone. Please take it into consideration. Now, let's get into the show and the characters. We have Fan Xiao, and bear with me, guys. I'm in the process of learning Thai. So I want to learn a couple of languages as I'm doing these, but these are Chinese ones, and I have a little bit of a harder time with the Chinese names than any other names other than like the Thai last names, because the Thai last names are very long and elaborate. But just saying, some of the names I may say wrong, and I will say this every time I do a foreign show because I'm not of that foreign country. I don't know the language all that well, so I may get things wrong. Please let me know if I'm saying anyone's name wrong, if I'm saying anything incorrectly, if there needs to be some sort of like certain pronunciation to it. Let me know, because I'd rather say them correctly or just be corrected in my error. You know, let me know. I'm okay. I'm perfectly happy being corrected as long as I'm getting something right. Okay. So Fan Xiao, he's the chaotic, manipulative heir to a Thai conglomerate. Fan Xiao grew up in an unstable and conflicted environment, shaping his worldview into one of control, games, and power. He sees relationships as challenges to conquer and people as variables to manipulate. We have our next one is Yu Shulang, who we will refer to him pretty often in this review as Shulang. He's our calm, rational senior executive at a pharmaceutical company whose life takes a dark turn after a chance encounter with Fan Xiao. He's stoic, strong-minded, and quietly resilient. Shulang reacts differently to chaos. He confronts it with clarity rather than anxiety, at least at first. We have Shi Li Hua, and he's Fan Xiao's helpful longtime friend who often is like a wingman for Fan Xiao. He helps reveal the emotional and social pressure surrounding the main characters. By watching how he reacts to their choices, the audience gets another perspective on just how complicated and sometimes dangerous the relationship between the two leads becomes. And lastly, Lu Shen. He's Shulang's boyfriend when our story begins. He's a kind, sweet, soft guy, kind of the opposite of Shulang's dominant side. He's important during mostly the first half of the show because of his relationship with Shulang. That's where most of the focus starts when the show begins. So any other small characters that pop up in between, I'll just give pictures of, and what their importance is will be explained in that moment. I'm not going to talk about all of them in the beginning. Now, into the show. We open to a man being scolded by an older gentleman. We see off to the side someone light a match. He appears to be pretty important. This is our first main character, Fan Xiao. We move to see Fan Xiao at the hospital. He went to visit someone. While there, he runs into someone it seems he may be familiar with. This is our second lead, Yu Shulang. We get a quick flashback into how they met. A fateful car accident brings them together. The collision leads to an unexpected tension and mutual fascination. Back to present day, we see chaos breaking through as it seems something is happening in the lobby of the hospital. Our characters move to the lobby and we see a woman on a ledge with a baby. Yu Shulang moves pretty quickly and gets some people to help him set up a sheet like a net to help catch the baby. A security guard goes to grab the woman and she drops said baby. Thankfully, our two leads were there to catch him. To celebrate the save of the child and apologize for the accident, Yu Shulang takes Fan Xiao to dinner. While there, they talk a bit and get to know each other a bit more. It seems Fan Xiao is fascinated by Yu Shulang. They share a smoke and we learn Yu Shulang is in a happy relationship. Hearing this makes Fan Xiao more interested, it seems, and once they finish dinner, Fan Xiao tries to get more information on Yu Shulang and his partner. Apparently, Yu Shulang's partner is a model, so Fan Xiao hires him to learn more about him. Fan Xiao puts on a handsome, proper prince act for Lu Shen, Yu Shulang's boyfriend, and Fan Xiao clearly flirts with him, but it's unclear what exactly he wants to do with him just yet. So we move to a more professional setting, and Fan Xiao is at work with the man we saw from the beginning. Fan Xiao seems to be a very diligent businessman at first glance, but you can tell there's something behind his eyes that he doesn't say. He finds an excuse to see Yu Shulang again, telling him he's lost and needs help getting back. Yu Shulang, being a nice and helpful person as he is, goes to help him. They talk more, and it's still unclear exactly what Fan Xiao wants with Yu Shulang. However, we move to see Fan Xiao decides to pick a project to work on that will involve the company Yu Shulang works at. After work, Yu Shulang's company treats Fan Xiao to dinner. We see more interaction between Fan Xiao and Yu Shulang. It does start to feel a bit intimate, but nothing serious really happens. Back at home, Yu Shulang is with his partner, and it seems they just had intimate times. However, it seems Yu Shulang is thinking of Fan Xiao and what transpired from the dinner a few hours ago. Yu Shulang starts to talk with Lu Shen, and we see that they have been together for some time. Lu Shen even moved to Thailand for Yu Shulang. Lu Shen says he has a party to attend with some people from work, though he doesn't really seem all that enthused about the idea. He still goes. While at said party, the people there are kind of assholes, and he's almost on his way out when, out of literally nowhere, Fan Xiao appears. Fan Xiao gives off a rich presence and helps Lu Shen stay and face the assholes. After they are leaving, Lu Shen is so thankful to Fan Xiao, it seems he almost forgets about Yu Shulang, even if just for a brief moment. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this nigga Fan Xiao is fine as fuck. I'm not even gonna lie about it, y'all. He's fine as hell. I don't condone or advise cheating, but looking isn't horrible, you know? However, it's still unclear what Fan Xiao is trying to get from Lu Shen, but it will be revealed soon. After the night with Lu Shen, Fan Xiao gives Shulang a call and goes to see him. While seeing Yu Shulang, Lu Shen calls, and it's a bit clear to Fan Xiao that Yu Shulang is a loyal, doting, protective boyfriend. It's starting to seem like Fan Xiao wants Yu Shulang for himself. While meeting a new potential client for work, Fan Xiao discovers Yu Shulang used to work in a completely different field, one it seems that he may actually have liked. We move to see Fan Xiao picking up a friend, Shi Li Hua, from the airport. And on the way back, he invites Fan Xiao to a welcoming party that he's having now that he's back home. Fan Xiao invites Yu Shulang to said party, and the games begin. Fan Xiao introduces Yu Shulang to a few people while there, and then the drinking begins not long after. We see a couple of guys join for a moment, and it seems they came to deliver some drogas. We don't need to Y'all got it. But only one of them seems to have a problem with it. Shulang. Everyone else seems to just ignore them niggas bringing that shit here. However, Shulang sees that the only persons whose drinks were drugged were young ladies who is said to be a worker. And that is where he takes issue. So in order to save her, he basically sacrifices himself. Fan Xiao sees this, but he doesn't mention anything after all the drinking is done, and we all are heading out for the night. It's completely obvious that Yu Shulang is pretty fucked up, and Fan Xiao decides to help Yu Shulang get home. And while in the car, it seems the drugs are really affecting Shulang, and Fan Xiao decides that it's an excellent opportunity to test the waters. He doesn't push really, which shows he has some semblance of self-restraint, and he does exit the car so Shulang can take care of himself. He drops Shulang home, and it seems Shulang isn't completely disinterested in Fan Xiao, but it's clear while he has a boyfriend, he is not going to act on anything. It's also clear that Shulang isn't as uptight and proper as he looks, which adds some layers and mystery I was not fully expecting. Once home, Fan Xiao finds video footage from the car ride and basically gets his own home video of Shulang. It's obvious Fan Xiao is becoming obsessed with Shulang, but the person in the way at the moment is Lu Shen. We see what we can assume is a flashback of traumatic events that took place at a beach. Then it flashes back to present day as we see it was just something Fan Xiao was seeing in his head. He is sitting at a booth in a club, waiting, it seems. We now see who he was waiting for. It appears it was Lu Shen. Apparently they were meeting each other there. It seems Fan Xiao is flirting with Lu Shen. However, he seems so sweet with him, it's almost genuine. Almost being the key word here. Please remember that. Especially because he makes sure to call Shulang while he's around Lu Shen. The next day, there is a signing between Fan Xiao and Shulang's companies. After the signing, Shulang shows Fan Xiao to his office that the company has set up for him while they're working together. And of course, Fan Xiao isn't going to pass up on an opportunity to spend a bit more time moving towards Shulang. However, it seems Shulang isn't as innocent and gullible as he may seem, and he can pretty much tell that Fan Xiao is clearly flirting with him. Fan Xiao tries to make plans with Shulang, but he is busy with his boyfriend. So, Fan Xiao, being the sneaky man that he is, decides to free up Shulang's day by messaging Lu Shen and making plans so he has to cancel his plans with Shulang. Now, it's becoming clear exactly why Fan Xiao is spending time with and being so nice to Lu Shen. He wants Shulang, and the person who's preventing that is Lu Shen. Once Lu Shen makes plans with Fan Xiao, he cancels the plans he had with Shulang, and now, with all that free time, Shulang agrees to spend some time with Fan Xiao. The next day, when the plans are made, Fan Xiao sees Lu Shen and speaks with him for a bit before ultimately deciding this is not how he wants to expose what Lu Shen is feeling towards him, right? So, just as Shulang arrives, Fan Xiao puts Lu Shen in a cab and sends him on his way. Now, getting the time he wanted with Shulang, Fan Xiao tries to learn more about him. Fan Xiao takes Shulang to get revenge on the guy who basically drugged him a few nights ago, and Shulang jumps at the opportunity. This man starts beating the shit out of the man who drugged him, like beating the shit out of him, and he does not let up, which Fan Xiao finds rather charming. And I honestly can't say it's surprising because Fan Xiao seems like a twisted motherfucker, so it's really not a surprise that he finds that attractive, you know. like I mean, watching a man beat somebody's ass can be attractive, don't get me wrong. In the right context, it can be very attractive, don't get me wrong. So, but Fan Xiao just likes it because he likes it, you know. After, when Fan Xiao is home alone, he gets a call from Lu Shen. He's drinking at a bar and gets a bit too drunk, so Fan Xiao goes to pick him up. While in the car ride, it seems Fan Xiao is hoping to get a video of Lu Shen just like he did with Shulang. However, it becomes clear to Fan Shou that he can't replicate what he had with Shulang and just drops Lu Shen off at home. As he's dropping him off, it happened to be like just in time, because once he dropped him off, Shulang literally shows up as he's pulling off to check on Lu Shen. And it seems Shulang's relationship is starting to really piss Fan Shou off. So he calls his friend, the one we mentioned earlier, and they end up basically kidnapping Yu Shulang. His friend literally drops Shulang off at Fan Shou's house. He uses this opportunity to take advantage of the drugged and unconscious Shulang. He leaves marks on him, which causes Shulang a lot of stress once he's awake the next morning. Because once Shulang is awake and he sees the marks, he kind of jumps to what happened and decides to hunt down the person who assaulted him. And he doesn't realize that Fan Shou is the one who had him that night. And Fan Shou is definitely not going to tell him that that's what happened. So Fan Shou decides to help Shulang find who did it. Yeah. That's what that nigga decides. He decides to help him find out who did that to him. We get to see a ruthless detective side to Shulang, which I gotta say, I have to admit, y'all, it's very sexy to see. Like, this man does not let anything slide. He don't let no shit go. I wouldn't say he holds a grudge, because he doesn't let shit get far enough to hold a grudge. He handles that shit quick. But it is very attractive to see him go so hardcore on shit like that. Also, I do really love a couple where the dynamic of power isn't just solely on one person. I like switch couples. So I gotta say, this couple very much gives switch. So anyway, we see Shulang ask Fan Shou to meet him at a club so they can confront the man that assaulted him. It seems as though Shulang was able to pinpoint it to a guy named Young Master Bai Peng Yu. Shulang's not playing around. But somehow, Fan Shou was able to convince Bai to lie for him and take the blame, thanks to their mutual friend. Shulang decides in order to make amends, he's going to beat this nigga's ass for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, y'all. 10 minutes. He literally wants to beat a man's ass for 10 minutes. Fan Shou decides to take over the beating, and it's very clear at this point, this nigga's beyond fucked up. Like, he's a psychopath. Full-blown psycho, I'm not kidding. Like, I don't understand what goes on in his mind. I don't get it. But he's going he's pushing past limits that we didn't even know we had. He literally hurts himself during the beating to try and get sympathy and concern from Shulang. Like, he punches a wall. He punches the wall to fuck up his hand. Okay. Shulang brings Fan Shou home, and Shulang, being concerned about his hand, decides to help him where he can. Fan Shou, being clever, he decides Shulang can help him undress. We see the sexual tension build between the two of them. However, Shulang still has a boyfriend and definitely isn't a cheater, so he doesn't let anything happen. Fan Shou convinces Lu Shang to stay at his place for the night, and Shulang, concerned about Fan Shou and his injury, checks on him in the middle of the night. Fan Shou, thinking he can use the concern to his advantage, tries to see if Shulang would assist him in releasing some pressure from a lower area. And Shulang, surprised by the request, pulls away and literally decks this nigga in the face. Not kidding. Square in the face. Shulang gets upset with Fan Shou, explaining he's a guy and he's not into playing straight boy games with him. Which, that bar took me out, bro. I'm not even kidding. Literally, word for word. He's gay and he's not into playing straight boy games. Loved that line. Took me out. The next morning, Fan Shou manages to smooth things over with Shulang and decides that it's about time we end things with Lu Shen. I guess his tactic worked, and Lu Shen actually does end up breaking up with Shulang. But there is one point Lu Shen brings up that I am going to point out because it is a bit important later on. He mentions during the breakup that Shulang was always so good to him, but it felt like he was detached from him. Basically, he just never let him in. And this is going to be important because the dynamic between Shulang and Fan Shao is so different that I need you guys to remember this one point. So when everything goes down later, we can understand why things happen, or like it ends up hurting them the way they do. Shulang spends his night drinking and Fan Shao appears. He lets him know that they broke up, and Fan Shao does a lousy job of hiding his happiness. This nigga's literally smiling as he hears this news. Like it's a subtle smile that like I'm sure probably wouldn't even pick up, but like he literally smiles as Shulang tells him that they broke up. Literally a quick little cheese, a grin. Once Shulang gets drunk enough, Fan Shao takes him home. Fan Shao refers to Shulang as I'm gonna say it wrong, but Bodhisattva, I think it's what I'm not sure, guys, but that's the best I can try to pronounce it. I'm assuming it has something, it's similar to like a Buddha, but yeah, Bodhisattva is the best pronunciation I can give you, which I wasn't really familiar with, but I did look up what it was, and it appears to be a person who forgoes or delays personal nirvana in order to compassionately help other individuals reach Buddhahood. So it's pretty apparent how highly he thinks of Shulang and why he's so attached to him. The next morning, Shulang wakes to see Fan Shao in bed with him. Nothing happened last night, but of course that doesn't stop Fan Shao from teasing Shulang that morning. Later, we see Fan Shao with his friend, and Lu Shen is apparently constantly trying to get a hold of him. Fan Shao ignores him, and we see him call about a trip that he decides to add Yu Shulang to. We move to this trip, which takes place by the shoreline, and it seems Fan Shao is under the weather. He excuses himself to his room, and Shulang can't help but be worried. So, not too long after, he decides to go check on him. When Shulang enters his room, it's clear something is wrong, and that small flashback we got from before comes back into play. It turns out when Fan Shao was a kid, there was a tsunami, and him and his mother were on the beach at the time and got stuck there. His father and the others basically left them for dead on that beach, and his mother, trying all her might to save her son, ended up finding shelter for them, but she didn't make it, and he was left with matches until those eventually ran out too. Then he was just left with her body in the dark until help arrived. Back to present day, Fan Shao is clearly struggling. Shulang is trying his best to be there for him, and eventually Fan Shao, in a fit of anger, gets a bit physical with Shulang. Nothing crazy, just kind of throws him around for a bit, revealing that he needs Shulang to save him. They kiss, and Fan Shao gets a bit handsy, and Shulang has to force him off. Shulang is thankfully very understanding, and now with a bit clearer of a head, Fan Shao tells Shulang he wanted him on the trip because he helps keep him calm. The next day, we see Shulang is very determined to help Fan Shao in any way he can. They take a stroll by the water, and Fan Shao ends up walking into the water, effectively scarring Shulang, because what are we left to think besides he's trying to off himself, you know? Once out of the water, they sit and talk for a while, sharing stories from their past and helping to build their relationship closer. Shulang decides they should go back to the room and close the blinds and curtains. He is trying to make Fan Shao comfortable. Of course, Fan Shao, dirty-minded man that he is, thinks it may be for something else. However, Shulang is basically like, nah babe, that's not what I had in mind. So, mind out the gutter, basically. As I've said, Shulang isn't a pushover, and he realizes that Fan Shao is pretending to still be injured and confronts him about it. Fan Shao reveals that after his mom passed, he never had anyone be so attentive to him. So he got a bit greedy with the attention Shulang was giving him. And Shulang is still not really budging on his anger. So Fan Shao goes on to say that he basically just wants Shulang's world to revolve around him. However, Yu Shulang is not that easily swayed. So the next day, to try and cheer him up, Fan Shao takes him to a well-known gay bar. Yu Shulang finds someone to take home relatively quickly, but of course, Fan Shao was not about to let that happen. And poof, magically, Shulang isn't taking anyone home anymore. Nope, that happened. He was leaving, and they weren't. Fan Shao finally offers himself as a partner to Shulong. However, Shulong's not amused. He doesn't believe that Fan Shao is gay and isn't really into the idea of being a fling for him just to figure out if he likes men. However, Fan Shao pulls out the big guns and tells Shulong that he loves him. Even goes on to explain all the things he has done just to be close to him. Not in the full extent, because this man lies up the wazoo. Which ends up being enough to break open the floodgates, and Shulong doesn't hold back anymore. They move to the bedroom, and Fan Shao hesitates because Shulong has made it clear before that he's a top. And Fan Shao is not used to that. However, Shulong, seeing how much of a toll it's taking on Fan Shao, decides to bottom instead. And we get an intimate scene that, when it ends, Fan Shao reveals he's never been with anyone before, not even a woman. Which I still don't know if I believe or not. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna, I watched it, is the show done? But like, I don't know for sure how much I believe that. Just saying. Shulong, however, does find this endearing. And once they get back from their trip, Fan Shao is all too happy to embrace the fact that Shulong is now his. After a little sexy time, they're cuddling and talking, and we hear a bit more about what happened with Fan Shao's mother. After such a cute and endearing moment, we get interrupted by Shulong's ex showing up unannounced at his place. Apparently, he still had a key to Shulong's place. He came to get something, and they talked briefly. However, Fan Shao wanted to get rid of Lushan, so he called him to rush him out. He obviously didn't actually talk to him. He just wanted to get him out of the apartment faster. Later, we see Lushan at dinner with Fan Shao, and Fan Shao was very decisive in his getting rid of Lushan. He made literally zero effort to spare his feelings in the slightest. It was kind of brutal to watch. Poor thing really got crushed. He ate him up, left no crumbs. I swear. He came for Lushan hard. With Shulong, we see him finishing up a night of business dinners, and Fan Shao is waiting to pick him up not far away. Fan Shao walks Shulong to the car that's waiting, and they talk. Shulong explains that he is usually much more reserved and cautious in all aspects. However, with Fan Shao, it's different. He doesn't quite know how to pinpoint him exactly, and that is a huge risk for him, especially since he's falling in love with him. They head home, and we see the next day Fan Shao is painting Shulong. Of course, Fan Shao can't resist Shulong's charm, and he has to be scolded a bit to be serious about the painting. They talk a bit more, and Fan Shao explains the poor relationships he has with his father and brothers.
被干掉，最终会怎样？一无所有呗。你不会一无所有的，你还有我。如果真到了那一天，我养你。
刘主任，你今天说的这番话，可算数？
算数。
After a heartfelt talk, Fan Shao decides to get a bit handsy, and we move to see both leads in the office at Shulong's workplace. Fan Shao can't resist the temptation and starts to get a bit handsy with Shulong. However, someone interrupts and Shulong is back in work mode. Once they leave, Fan Shao starts back with his flirting. The weekend comes, and after what clearly looks like a long weekend, Shulong is back home and Fan Shao is already there cooking for him. How cute. We get a cute couple moment where they feel almost domesticated and homey, and Fan Shao tells Shulong that he sees him as something not of this world. Basically, just drop down for a glimpse of heaven. Then Shulong finally tells him what caused him to have such a tiring weekend before he got home. Apparently, his brother is causing trouble and he has to save him. Fan Shao doesn't like that Shulong's brother is causing him issues, so he goes with him to visit Shulong's hometown. While there, we meet Shulong's brother, Shang Chen. Fan Shao meets him to fix whatever mess he has caused, but doesn't want Shulong to know about it. After, when Shulong and Fan Shao meet back up, they head to visit Shulong's mother's grave, where he introduces Fan Shao to his mother. Shulong is a very smart man, and of course figures out Fan Shao has helped his brother and plans to repay him at some point for it. We get another cute couple moment where Shulong is thankful but also warns him not to do that shit again. They have a bit of a playful moment. It's also really cute. We move to a party scene and we see Fan Shou and his friend Shi Lihua talking. It's apparently a party for Fan Xiao's birthday, but Fan Xiao's sight is glued to Shulong. Li Hua thinks it's time he move on and brings in a roster of men for Fan Xiao to choose from. They play a little game with one of the guys, but Fan Xiao doesn't care about anyone but Shulong, and we get a moment of lust-filled fun between the two, until they are interrupted by the news of Fan Xiao's family arriving. They also bring along with them the woman who Fan Xiao is supposedly engaged to. Although Fan Xiao is adamant that is not happening, the whole ordeal just ends with angry brothers, an annoyed Fan Xiao, and a slightly drunk Shulong, as well as a sad and disappointed girl who realizes she's not going to be with Fan Xiao. Once done, our two leads are at their car and are heading home to talk. Shulong was able to realize how much Fan Xiao's brothers really despise him in that short amount of time. We move to a new day and Shulong is cooking. It's apparent the kitchen isn't his, and when Fan Xiao calls, we learn that's correct. Shulong is actually at Fan Xiao's house, and he's cooking for him so he doesn't have to travel so far after work. Fan Xiao now has something to look forward to and rushes to finish his work so he can get home. However, while waiting, Shulong decides he's going to use Fan Xiao's computer and finds the X-rated tape of himself that Fan Xiao kept from the earlier car ride after he was drugged. Shulong is very upset when Fan Xiao gets home, and Fan Xiao scrambles to come up with the reasons why he even has that tape. And this is where all the lying Fan Xiao's doing starts to cause problems. To try and settle the score, Shulong wants Fan Xiao to make a video for him. However, he isn't as resolved in his pervertedness as Fan Xiao is and can't fully follow through on making a video. We move to a different day and Shulong is talking to someone we met earlier. I'm just gonna say Bao Tian because I don't know how to, maybe it's Shu or Shu Bao Tian. Maybe, please correct me. He accidentally let slip an event that happened from earlier about the girl that was going to be drugged, and it led to Shulong trying to find the girl to figure out what happened that night he was drugged. And the video that Fan Xiao loves so much was made. He finds the girl, Bai Ting, and they talk. He learns that Fan Xiao and his friends enjoy playing games and Shulong doesn't like to be a part of them. So he decides to make a game of his own that Fan Xiao isn't lucky enough to be left out of. Fan Xiao tries to lie his way out of Shulong's interrogation and Shulong ends up leaving him. Shulong literally disappears for 3 days and avoids anything to do with Fan Xiao. This causes Fan Xiao to get a bit stir crazy, and when Shulong returns, Fan Xiao out of anger decides he wants to get back at him to hurt him just like he was hurt. However, it's pretty obvious how strongly they feel for each other and how affected they are by what they do to each other. So you can already tell this is not going to end well. They go to work and try to keep things looking professional until they get to Shulong's office. And Fan Xiao tries to jump Shulong right then and there. Shulong is able to fend him off till the night at least, so nothing continues while they're supposed to be working. We move to Fan Xiao. We move to see Fan Xiao has set up a shrine for Shulong's mother, so he has the ability to go and visit her somewhere closer. A very sweet sentiment on his behalf. We move to Lu Shen, who is getting into trouble at work, and this part is a bit disturbing to watch, so definitely if assault is something that is triggering for you, I would be pretty careful when you're watching this part, the show in general, but like this part more specifically because it is kind of hard to see, and assault is very, very much what that whole part is. After that, Lu Shen shows up outside of Shulong's place, and this is where everything starts to pretty much go to shit. Truths come out, secrets are revealed, and Shulong realizes he can't really trust Fan Xiao. This exchange ultimately blows up their relationship. Shulong goes with Lu Shen to help him apologize to a client and makes it clear that this is the last time he'll be helping him with anything. Fan Xiao's brother the second young master, meets up with Shulong because after hearing of the breakup, he wants to try and coax Shulong to his side to help destroy Fan Shou. However, at this very moment in time, Shulong doesn't hate Fan Shou like his brother does, and he rejects the offer. Using the help of Bai Ting, Shulong begins to find out more lies Fan Shou has been keeping from him, and it just fuels the fire of anger Shulong is building up. After a night out, Fan Shou heads to his car to head home, and Shulong decides to confront Fan Shou about the lying. He decides to basically beat him up since that was the initial punishment the first time when he learned about the night he was basically taken and assaulted. And Fan Shou lets him. With Fan Shou, we see he keeps a dark room in his home, basically to torture himself. I'm sure it's probably supposed to be there for like an exposure therapy for like the trauma that he was, the PTSD that he had experienced after the tsunami. But like when he's in it, he's basically torturing himself. With Shulong, we see him meeting with the professor from his past, Professor Huang, who actually asked to see him to offer him a job on the research and development team he is starting for a product he wants to produce. Shulong heads into the new job, happy to be back doing work he enjoys, and while waiting with Professor Huang to meet the investors, they talk about the project a bit. As the investors show up, we come to find out that the investor is actually Fan Shou. Shulong doesn't let on that there is something wrong between the two of them, but once he has the chance, he excuses himself to get some air. Of course, Fan Shou follows him and they exchange some not so pleasant words, and Fan Shou makes it very clear that the investment into the Changeling project that they are working on is heavily dependent on Shulong staying with him and on the team. Shulong makes it known that he will help to ensure the contract stays intact, but once that's done, he is leaving. Shulong is living in a company apartment, and it's clear that the place he's in has cameras, and he decides to use that to his advantage. He's pretty aware of Fan Shou watching him and calls a guy over. As they move to the bedroom, Fan Shou busts through the door and causes a ruckus. The poor boy, of course, has to leave, while Fan Shou and Shulong start to go at each other again. Not so nice words are exchanged again, and you can literally see when a part of Shulong breaks. Like he has like I guess I would say it's like probably like an internal meltdown. So Shulong is starting to lose it a bit due to Fan Shou's relentless efforts. His resolve for the time remains strong. Shulong goes to visit his brother at his request because he has some news. Apparently, Fan Shou hired Shulong's brother, and now Shang Chen is trying to convince Shulong to stick out a relationship with Fan Shou so that they can basically rob him blind. Shulong, not caring about taking Fan Shou's money, just wants to be done with him. But his brother won't let up. Shulong leaves clearly upset with his brother, but obviously his brother's determined. So not long after, his brother decides to pull a pretty stupid stunt, considering it's kind of cruel to take threats like this. To make threats like this, since there are people who seriously deal with issues like this. So he plops himself on a bridge and threatens to jump unless Shulong agrees to help him. Which it wasn't like a funny ordeal to me. Like I didn't love that part, but I told you guys there are very triggering themes in this show. Shulong isn't stupid and knows his brother is just doing this to convince him to help, but he's not falling for it. As Shulong begins to leave, Shang Chen accidentally trips and almost falls off the bridge. However, as he is about to run back to save his brother, Fan Shou stops him. Shang Chen is fine, however he catches himself, and the paramedics pull him off the bridge and take him away. Fan Shou is a bit furious with Shulong since it's clear he was about ready to throw himself over the bridge to try and catch his brother, and he tries to talk with Shulong, but Shulong is about at his wit's end with this man. So, of course, Fan Shou is not quite done. Shulong receives a call from Bai Ting, who yells for his help. Of course, causing distress to Shulong, because the girl, she ain't do nothing in the whole situation. She really had nothing to do with them, honestly. She just happened to be caught up in all the nonsense that was going on. So finally, With not much fight left in him, Shulong decides to give in to Fan Xiao and just be with him. However, it's not quite in the way Fan Xiao wants. Shulong goes back to Fan Xiao's place, but with a contract, a kept man contract to be exact, angering Fan Xiao because he just wants what they had before. But like I said, Shulong said he would come back, but definitely not in the way Fan Xiao wants. Shulong makes it clear that he is pretty disgusted with Fan Xiao, and this arrangement is just because he's tired and has nothing left in him. Fan Xiao makes it clear he is okay taking whatever Shulong puts him through. He just wants to be with him. We get a very dominant display from Shulong, which I gotta admit is kind of sexy to see, because as I said, y'all, I like a switch couple. I'm very much about a switch couple. I love the change of dynamics. So don't get me wrong, I love having a definite top and bottom, but like having a switch, those couples are just everything to me. I love a good switch couple. The couple gives switch very much, so I'm here for it anytime. Shulong decides he wants to be a dominant in this situation. It suits him pretty well, I gotta say. So I thought it was fine for me. Anyway, that was my little spiel. Let me get back into it. Fan Xiao is complying with whatever Shulong requests, and they get into a bit of sexy time. And I'm gonna cut in here again. The actor playing Fan Xiao, yeah, that man is fucking yummy. That man, I'm a woman who appreciates a nice body. Men or women, don't really matter. He has a nice body. He has a very nice body. I forget about it pretty much every time until we get like a cute little sexy scene, and then, you know, because I see it, like I'm not, you know, I it's like you don't see it until you see it, you know, like then you remember, and then it's like, ooh, yeah, he got it. Anyway, they have their moment, but nothing is the same as before, and Shulong doesn't really want to do this, so he basically is there but like not there. He essentially dissociates, and I hate to say it, but I know the feeling, and it's basically one of giving up. In the moment, Shulong has finally hit his breaking point, and from there on, the next few times we see them together for sexy time, it's apparent Shulong isn't really there. Shulong is basically just a shell of a man who is just enduring the life that he's stuck with right now. And it's honestly very disheartening to see. After some time, we see Shulong is working for a new company, one with a much younger boss, young President Kin, I don't know, y'all, I'm sorry. They're finishing up a business dinner, and after saying goodbye to his boss, Fan Xiao comes to pick Shulong up. Shulong just relents and goes with him, but not before his boss shows back up to give him an assignment, which kind of annoys Fan Xiao, causing Fan Xiao to speak kind of rudely to his boss, once again angering Shulong. The next day we see Shulong at work, and apparently his boss works quickly. He already got information and found out who Fan Xiao was, and offers a proposition to Shulong. He will steal him from Fan Xiao and kill two birds with one stone. He gets back at Fan Xiao for what he said to him, and gets a chance to be with Shulong, who he apparently also likes. So, in his mind, it's a win-win for both of them. However, Shulong already has one crazy-ass nigga in his life, and he's really unwilling to add another. So, no matter how tempting the offer may sound, it's gonna be a no. Fan Xiao calls Shulong and requests that they spend the weekend in together, and he accepts. However, it's apparent Shulong doesn't want to spend time with him. Luckily for Shulong, an emergency at work comes up, and Fan Xiao has to head out. While there, Fan Xiao is confronted in the parking lot by President Kin, who apparently was the one behind the problem at his job. Fan Xiao basically tells him to fuck off since he's already dealing with other shit, and pretty sure he grasped the message. Next day, Fan Xiao goes to pick up Shulang from work. However, Shulang already has plans that don't include Fan Xiao. Yu Shulang leaves and we see him meet up with some old college friends and they chat for a while before none other than Fan Xiao shows up to crash the party. Once their gathering is over, Shulang makes a threat towards Fan Xiao and it seems like he really means it. Now, this next part was a bit confusing for me. It's a bit unclear if parts of it are real or a fantasy in Shulang's head. But basically, we see Shulang meet up with one of his friends to talk about a prospective job offer. Then we get flashes of him in bed with Fan Xiao, then flashes back to the friend. But Fan Xiao shows up to spew some threats and then back to them in bed. Now, after a few back and forth, it's apparent them in bed now is what is actually happening. And Shulang says something that breaks Fan Xiao a bit, causing him to retreat to his dark room. In there, Fan Xiao literally hurts himself, and when Shulang comes down to see what's going on with Fan Xiao literally hurts himself, and when Shulang comes down to see what's going on with Fan Xiao, breaks down and literally begs him on hand and knee to save him. However, Shulang can't see any good in this man anymore, so there's no chance of saving him at the moment, and leaves him to continue hurting himself or whatever he wants alone. After this, Shulang finally decides to help the second young master destroy Fan Xiao. Fan Xiao sees that he has to start to back off of Shulang a bit, so when Shulang is going to leave, he doesn't follow him. Shulang went to meet up with President Qin to see if he can't help him back into Fan Xiao's work computer. President Qin does tell him there is no need to thank him for what he's doing, but if there ever comes a time when Fan Xiao is out of the picture, just keep him in mind so he may have a chance. Which, through all the nonsense, I thought was kind of sweet, after everything. After that exchange, as Shulang is leaving, he runs into the second young master, who begins to question him about what's taking so long to get the information to take down Fan Xiao. Shulang tells him that he tried, but Fan Xiao has his shit locked up pretty tight, and he's basically better off trying something without it. Obviously, Shulang doesn't really want to work with any of Fan Xiao's brothers, but it's what he's left to deal with for the time being. Back at home, Fan Xiao approaches Shulang hesitantly, but this time it's for an actual work question. Shulang helps and looks at the files. While he's reading them over, Fan Xiao decides to get some juice for Shulang. To Shulang's happiness, he's able to use this time away to get the files he needs from Fan Xiao's computer. The upload finishes just in time, and now Shulang has exactly what he needs to take down Fan Xiao. Once back, Fan Xiao asks Shulang if they can have a little intimate time, and Shulang makes it pretty clear that a good fuck is about the only thing that nigga's good for at this point. So, if they're gonna do anything, it'd be that. Next day, Shulang goes to visit the shrine for his mom and breaks down. Everything finally comes to a head for him, and he doesn't know if he can take much more of the life he has. Which, as someone who deals with depression themselves, was really hard to watch because that is never a good feeling to see or feel. Shulang receives a call regarding Professor Huang and rushes to see Fan Xiao. Apparently, Fan Xiao is suing Changeling, in his words, because he's in a bad mood. They get into a pretty big argument over this issue, and in the end, Shulang agrees to go back to work and help his professor's business, so it doesn't go down the shitter. I will say all of the stuff that has been happening lately has felt a bit off, and of course for Shulang the easiest thing is to blame Fan Xiao, but I don't fully believe Fan Xiao is hurting any of these people. I think he may just be making it look like that so Shulang can continue to have his vendetta against him. And almost to literally confirm my suspicion, after a phone call with Shulang and Professor Huang, we see that the professor is now in the same room Shulang just left with Fan Xiao. We see that Fan Xiao is actually helping Shulang and the professor. So he isn't as bad as Shulang is seeing, but once you paint yourself as a villain, it's kind of hard not to be seen as a villain, especially to the one that your actions have hurt. We see Shulang is hard at work trying to help the professor with Changeling. And like I said before, Fan Xiao is trying to look out for Shulang, and the professor lets him know it seems like Shulang is doing quite well on his part. It's obvious that the people that work with Shulong also admire him and his hard work. We see at the end of his workday, Shulong goes to visit Bai Ting. However, once he's outside of her place, it's clear she doesn't live there anymore. A random girl passing by who knew Bai Ting also corroborates her, I guess it'd be considered disappearance. However, the girl mentions Fan Shao making Shulong believe he did something to Bai Ting. I don't believe anything has actually happened to her, but that's what it seems like to Shulong, and at this point, there's not much he can say to make him not believe that, you know? So we move back to Fan Shao's place, where Shulong is finally arriving back to after some time away for work at Changeling. It's clear Fan Shao misses him, but that's not the case for Shulong. He's there to interrogate Fan Shao. Fan Shao reveals that Bai Ting is dead, which I highly doubt, but it doesn't really matter to Shulong because Shulong believes it, so he threatens Fan Shao with the evidence that he's gathered from his computer. But no matter how angry he is with Fan Shao, he can't fully forget about how deeply he loved him and can't seem to pull the trigger on ending him. So Fan Shao decides to do it for him. And if I'm being honest, it almost seems like this is kind of what he wanted to happen pretty much the whole time. Almost the whole show, it seemed like Fan Shao felt he had a lot of sins to atone for to deserve Shulong. But I'll talk more about that at the end. However, sometime later we see Shulong on his own, and it seems he's doing very well. He heads to a lunch with old college friends. However, he still has passing thoughts of Fan Shao. He receives a call and turns out to be the woman from the beginning who dropped the baby, and our two leads save them. Turns out she's dying and pleads with Shulong to please look after her kid, Tian Tian, since he was one of the people that saved him as a baby. Fan Shao's friend, Shi Li Hua, seems to be filling Fan Shao in on everything happening with Shulong, and we get the tiniest glimpse at Fan Shao, and it seems he's hidden away by the ocean side. Big step considering he's terrified of it. Back with Shulong, we see he's agreed to adopt her son. It happens to be New Year's, and Shulong decides to walk into a dumpling shop. And who does he happen to run into? None other than little Bai Ting. He asks what happened before, since she disappeared without a trace. She explains that some trouble with family came up, and surprisingly, Fan Shao helped her out. He gave her some money, and she was able to get away and start a new life as a dumpling shop owner. Shulong is surprised to hear that she's doing so well, and that Fan Shao actually helped her instead of hurting her. He realizes Fan Shao may have been lying about things, but not in the way he thought. We move to see Shulong take Tian Tian, and what a cute dad he is. Shulong heads to a local pharmacy and unexpectedly runs into Fan Shao. Time has passed between them, but the emotions are still very raw, so Shulong isn't entirely comfortable having too much conversation with him. However, it's clear Fan Shao still feels pretty strongly for Shulong, because he's still doing little things to prove he wants Shulong to be safe. Shulong goes to get a meal with some friends, and they happen to go into a Thai restaurant that Fan Shao seems to be working at. Another unexpected encounter that makes them both relive the memories from their past. With this encounter at the restaurant, Shulong has to let his friends know that Fan Shao is his ex. Fan Shao manages to get a moment alone with Shulong, and they talk about what has happened a bit in his time away. However, tensions are still a bit high, so Shulong seems to allow a bit of talking, but doesn't want to get into any details. He's still untrustworthy of Fan Shao, so it's a little bit weary right now. Shulong is now home, tucking Tian Tian in for bed. However, it seems he may be a bit sick himself, so he heads out to go get some medicine. However, Fan Shao happened to be waiting outside his place because he was concerned after he saw Shulong, because he noticed he looked a bit under the weather. Sorry, y'all. To Fan Shao, Shulong looked not okay, even though Shulong tried to lie and say that he's fine. So they head back into the apartment. Surprisingly, it turns out to be Shulong's birthday, or I guess the day that they decided was his birthday, since he's an orphan, he doesn't really know his actual birthday. So Fan Shao actually got him a cake. How cute! Though he can't have it because he's sick. And Shulong, really not tolerating any nonsense, sends Fan Shao away. And he was only supposed to come in and cook, you know. So once that's done, like, yes, the cake is nice, but like, get the fuck out. A few days later, we see Fan Shao leaves work and heads to a club since he heard about someone from their past wanting to get revenge on Fan Shao. Turns out, Fan Shao was smart enough to not show up, but when Shulang gets there, he realizes he's not getting out of that bitch that easily. He ends up having to throw hands a bit, and by the time he gets home, he's pretty beat up. However, when he gets home, Fan Shao is waiting for him to arrive. He sees the condition Shulang is in and immediately wants to go beast mode. However, Shulang stops him for just a moment, and they head into Shulang's place. Fan Shao does his best to care for Shulang's injuries, but it just proceeds to anger him more. Of course, he restrains himself because he's with Shulang, but you already know this nigga don't let stuff go. But with Shulang, all Fan Shao can do is cry and apologize for causing this in the first place. Surprisingly enough, Shulang lets him stay for the night, and Fan Shao, not wanting to overstay his welcome, leaves promptly after. Shulang makes a call and decides it's really time to move on and manages to get a new boyfriend. We see Shulang spends time with his new boo, but he doesn't really seem happy. It looks like he's just kind of like placating the like not wanting to go back to Fan Shao thing. So Fan Shao happens to pass by one of the times Shulang is with his boyfriend, and it crushes him. Almost sends him spiraling down a dark path again, but he manages to pull whatever little self-control and composure he has left together. Like I said, this nigga Fan Shao doesn't let anything go, and he definitely had to teach their old friend a lesson. He had that nigga laid up in a hospital bed, beat the fuck up. Poor thing, mad as hell, but, you know, he knows not to try anything again. So, there's that. Shi Li Hua and Fan Shao were chatting, and he said something that annoyed Fan Shao about Shulang, so he made him go apologize to him. This conversation led to Shi Li Hua. If I'm saying the name wrong, please correct me out. I'm not fully remembering. Whatever. He let some information slip on what happened to Fan Shao while he was gone for some time, and it turns out Fan Shao definitely was having a rough go at it for some time. And turns out he was trying to protect Shulang through all of the stuff that happened after all the information came out about their family. We start to see Shulang's hard exterior cracking ever so slightly each time he hears something that Fan Shao has done to help him or protect him. Shulang has a chat with the professor, and even more information about what Fan Shao has done for him yet again comes to light, and Shulang is starting to realize he may have been a bit wrong about Fan Shao's intentions for things. Shulang goes out with some of his friends again and gets to talking a bit one-on-one with one of his woman friends. She actually helps to put into perspective what has been going on between him and Fan Shao. And Shulang finally realizes he and Fan Shao are still very much in love with each other. So he gathers some liquid courage as well as actual courage and stumbles into where Fan Shao is staying. They talk for a bit about plenty of different things, but inevitably they end up in bed together. The next morning, we see Shulang invite Fan Shao to breakfast with him, and the realization that even after everything, they still complete each other. Now, what worked? The chemistry between the actors. I thought they did an amazing job. It reminded me of the chemistry that we saw between the actors from the other Chinese one that I did. I can't remember the name at the moment. Revenge Love. It reminded me of that same chemistry, which their chemistry was very, very well done. So they did a really good job with the characters. I thought the cinematic style was really, really well done. I'm realizing that they use a lot of different cinema styles to shoot these shows in foreign countries, so it is nice to see so many different aspects of how they like to shoot different shows. It's actually kind of nice to get such a different perspective on them from what I'm used to, because I'm used to American shows and they all kind of film the same way, except for Tyler Perry shows, because them shits is weird as fuck, but all the other ones kind of film about the same. What I didn't love how heavy and all the emotional stuff it was. It wasn't too much of an issue for me. I'm okay watching things that have triggering themes. The problem was, my issue with it was it's not for everyone. And there's no real disclaimer at the beginning of the show to like tell you that there's so much in it. Like for me, I didn't know what I was watching when I got into it. However, having so many triggering themes, I wish that there was more of a disclaimer to tell people about that. Because people would need to, you should let people know that that's what they're getting themselves into. I didn't fully know what the show was. I just knew it was a BL. And I was like, okay, well, let's take a chance on it. I still would have watched it knowing that there were all those themes in it, but it, like being thrown into it unknowingly is not that great, especially for people who don't want to see things like that, you know? So that was where my like dislike about it came from, because it didn't stop anything for me. I would still watch it regardless, but like for people who don't or can't deal with themes like that, it really does, like it's gonna mess them up. Like it's better to know about that than to be like sprung on you out of nowhere, you know? So that was what bothered me about it. I didn't like that it was so like out of nowhere, you know? If I had known more about it, maybe, but like there's no disclaimer. And that's what I think they need to add, is like they need to give a disclaimer that there's so many triggering themes in the show that people should know about before watching it. The only other thing I can complain about is the open-endedness of the finale. I said I would talk about it later, so here it is. I'm just gonna get into the end. So for almost the entire show, it seemed as though Fan Xiao saw Shulang as some sort of angel or deity sent down from above to save him. It felt like a lot of the perceived bad stuff he was doing was to try and add to the sins he would have to eventually atone for later. After all the stuff got out, and it felt like we kind of abandoned this plot line a little bit. It didn't fully give a full ending to the couple. Yeah, it kind of left off at like they'll work it out, which is fine. But like after all the buildup we had from them to like leave it kind of just up in the air was a bit off-putting, especially because episode 14 kind of felt like a filler episode. So sorry, but like that's what it felt like to me. It just kind of felt like maybe we instead could have just combined the last 2 episodes and then made episode 15 like them actually working things out, or like maybe just kept it as is and add an extra episode. I don't know, but it felt like, you know, episode 14 was a filler episode. It just felt like, you know, it felt like we could have done more. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but like that's how I felt about it. Okay. Overall, I'd say To My Shore gets an 8 out of 10 daggers. It's definitely Blue approved. However, it does have some red flags for the trigger warnings on it. It's dark, gripping, and emotionally raw. To My Shore challenges expectations, offering a romance that's as intense and frustrating as it is poignant. It's not for everyone, but for those drawn to psychological depth and complex characters, this might be right on the nose for you. What did you guys think? At what point did you realize Fan Xiao's obsession wasn't just manipulation, it was fear of vulnerability? Do you think Shulang chose love or chose survival? Did the unresolved threads in the finale make the ending feel powerful or incomplete? And how did you think the show redefines modern toxic romance and BL storytelling? I would love to know what you guys thought. Please like and subscribe if you like the longer ones, if you like the longer descriptions of the shows. I kind of like the longer ones, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like getting a little bit more into detail about stuff. However, if you guys do prefer shorter ones, like let me know, because that's also an option too, because I did start off doing them a bit shorter. They are a bit longer, so you guys get a little bit more out of them to really tell you like, oh, you got enough of this, you don't need to watch it, you know? Like if you really don't want to watch one, like hopefully these are long enough to let you know, you know, I think I got it from this, I don't think I need to watch it. Or maybe this was just long enough that you got enough from it and you want to watch more, you know, like you want to get all the little nitty gritty details. That's all up to you guys, you know, let me know what you guys thought. However, I will let you guys go for now. Let's cut the feed pays because my work here is done.